Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Ron.
This is a case of Robertson v. Mcbain Sr.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Ms. Robertson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your world was turned upside down at the age of 8 when you received the shocking news that the man you believed to be your biological father was not.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were informed that the defendant, Mr. Mcbain Sr., is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
You've dragged him to court to prove that today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Mcbain, you say during your military career you were married to the plaintiff's mother. However, you're certain that you are not her father because you claim her mother was unfaithful and you have proof.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Ms. Robinson, now what happened when you turned 8 years old? Please tell the court.
When I was 8 years old, my mother had sat me down and she had found Mr. Mcbain in the phone book and she said, "This is your biological father right here."
She pointed him out in the phone book.
Yes, Your Honor. And from that point, I didn't really think anything of it. I was 8 years old. It was kind of like it was nothing. So now my question is why, if he's denying it, why is his name on my birth certificate? Why did he sign his rights away? And Your Honor, I have proof right here.
Ron, can you please hand me that evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this, I can see, is still affecting you, even as an adult woman. This
Yes, Your
memory
Honor.
of being told this at 8 years old and having so many unanswered questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
So this is your birth certificate.
Yes, my name may be on there, Your Honor. However, it's on there because the state put it on there. I had nothing to do with putting my name on her birth certificate.
So you're listed as father,
Yes, but that was against my objections.
but during that time you were married to her mother?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
So a child born within a marriage is presumed to be
Yeah,
the husband's child.
Yeah.
So your name was automatically placed on the birth certificate as father. But even in that moment at the hospital,
I wasn't there.
you weren't there, but you would not have voluntarily placed your name on the birth certificate if you had a choice.
No, Your Honor, I
Because
wouldn't
you
have.
had doubts even then?
Even then, I had doubts. That's one of the reasons why I let Mr. Ayers go ahead and adopt her, because she did deserve to have a father. It's not her fault who her mother is.
So you were married to her mother,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you served in the military.
Yes, I was.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But during that time, you said she was unfaithful.
Yes, Your Honor, she was. Not only she was unfaithful, she asked me for a threesome at one point in the marriage as well.
So, Ms. Robertson, I want to move to you a little bit because after 8 years old, how were you coping?
I let it go until I turned right before my 13th birthday. And that's when I had told my mother that all I wanted for my 13th birthday was to meet Mr. Mcbain.
What did she say?
She got it for me.
She
I
did.
don't remember that at all.
Well, wait a minute. If you don't remember it, let me have her tell it. Ms. Robertson, what do you remember?
It only lasted about 40 minutes, and that was like more than anything in the world for me at that time. And then it was over. After that, I believe I had talked to him a couple times after that. Then all of a sudden, his phone number got disconnected. It was taken out of the phone book, and he was just gone, like he fell off the face of the earth.
I'm not her dad.
Your mother is absolutely shaking over here. I want to stand her up. Ma'am, please. Ms. Graham, thank you for being here. Do you have any doubts that Mr. Mcbain is your daughter's biological father?
Your Honor,
Mr.
Mr. McBain, you and I were married. We were living in the same place.
Yes, and I worked a lot.
And you were there.
I was in the United States Coast Guard, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
And the first unit that I was in, we were 1 in 4 duty, which meant I was off for 1 day and on for 4.
And you're suggesting that you worked too much to be her father.
No, I'm saying I'm not her father because while in the Coast Guard, just before she informed me that she was pregnant, I was told by the Coast Guard I was sterile.
And you've got 3 kids after that, Mr. McBain. How
Yes,
are
I
you
have
sterile?
3 kids after that. However, it was due to stress. I was under a great deal of
you were under stress with other women.
I never once cheated on Miss Graham. I'm not like her.
You believe she was cheating on you around the time Ms. Robertson was conceived?
Yes.
Explain.
As one example, I was working 7 days a week for about 3 months straight and went back home. As I'm walking across the living room, I look over and there's a pair of boots and a coat on the floor and a coat on
Your Honor, those were his boots and his coat.
They were size 10, Your Honor. I wear size 12. The coat was a medium. I wear a 2X coat. Anyway, I walked over to her room. I beat on the door. I said, I don't know who you are in there, but you've got 30 seconds to get out of my house, or you're going to be really sorry.
No.
Anyway,
So you completely refute
I met
this suggestion that you were in your room with another man.
Not only was she in a room with the other man, but she was having sex.
So you feel
Your
like
Honor,
you
Mr.
caught
Graham's
her.
just been a sperm donor to me. That's all he was. Our whole marriage was a joke.
You were a cheat, that's why. She cheated on me almost from day one.
So it's obvious you all had some marital issues. During the time Ms. Robertson was conceived, do you remember anything?
Yes, that's about the time that we had the threesome.
Your Honor, there was no threesomes in Kodiak. And if there was any threesomes at all, it was because Mr. Mcbain had asked for them.
And why would I do that? I did that to try and appease you and keep your legs
Mike.
closed.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Now, Ms. Graham, I did hear you admit that you were cheating, but you said you were cheating after Ms. Robertson was already conceived and born. Now, earlier you said
Yes, you may.
you never
Your
slept
Honor.
with anybody.
No. Before Miss Robertson was conceived, no, I had not slept with anybody but Mr.
That
McBain.
is an outright lie,
After
Your Honor.
I found out I was pregnant with Miss Robertson, then we had split up.
I believe that the guy that we had the threesome with is actually the father of Miss Robertson.
Oh,
Excuse me. And who is that?
He was an individual I was stationed with.
Yeah, you were stationed with a lot.
I know, and so were you.
But wait a minute. He's talking about. Ooh. So, Mr. McBain, you truly believe this other man could potentially be Miss Robertson's father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Why?
Well, between the Coast Guard telling me I was sterile and the fact that the man's Hawaiian, he's Samoan.
I am.
Your Honor, this girl is white as white could be.
So wait
My
a minute.
hand
You're
comes
saying the
from-
other guy is Samoan,
Yes.
and so that's how you believe that Miss Robertson looks Samoan?
Some of her facial features, yes.
No.
Your
Yes.
Honor, this is a confusion I put up with during the whole marriage with this man.
The confusion she put up with is she couldn't figure out who was in her bed.
Woo! So, Miss Graham, I have to ask you respectfully. Do you remember this threesome?
Not that he's talking about, no.
Do you remember any threesome?
There was one or two, yes, at his request.
Okay.
You're the one that brought
Why
your
would I-
friends to me
And why would I do that?
because you couldn't fulfill it.
Okay. So,
Is that right? Your
Moving
Honor, I
right,
met at
yeah.
least 10 gentlemen who claimed that they had been in her bed.
10?
Yes, 10.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you know this? They were talking about
around-
it?
Yes, I got them to admit. The first thing I did was I found out who they were. I got them to admit to what they had done because, you know, guys like to talk.
So you befriended them, then once they said it, you said, aha.
Exactly.
Your Honor, we were well separated after this time.
So you remember a time when you were having...
Not 10 men, no.
Okay, but you remember when you were, let's say it nicely...
Promiscuous with one other man, yes.
Well, that wasn't really the word I was going to use, but since you said it...
Yes, you were
Promiscuous.
promiscuous, one other man at a time.
Miss
Your Honor, we're not
Robertson,
here for
I can
slander.
only imagine how difficult this testimony is for you to hear. And as I look at you with tears in your eyes, and you have to listen to this going back and forth between your mother and the man she says is your biological father, it's just not right. Anything you've heard thus far, does it make you think any differently? Do you...
No, because I look like him. I'm built like him.
Well, the part I'm having trouble with, Mr. McBain, is even if your account is true, even if she was sleeping around, if she was your wife and you were also sleeping with her, couldn't you potentially be Miss Robertson's biological father?
I don't feel that she looks like me, as much like me as she thinks she does. Also, due to the fact of what the Coast Guard told me, and due to the fact that Miss Graham is a cheater.
What do you think Ms. Graham's motivation was to sit Ms. Robertson down at 8 years old and say, I need to tell you something.
No idea whatsoever what she was trying to pull there.
Because nobody would walk their daughter, their child into this brick wall. Nobody would do that.
Thank you.
So
I have 3 other kids that I've made, and then one other that I took on. And my fiance has 2 children that I'm father.
No wonder he's denying her. He's got too many.
This is your fiance?
Yes, ma'am.
Please stand, ma'am. I'd like to hear from you. State your name for the court.
My name is Sarah Lawrence.
Sarah Lawrence. Okay, you are Mr. McBain's fiance.
Yes, I am.
Had he ever told you that he had another child by his wife? Potentially, even if he didn't believe it, potentially?
Well, actually, I found out about Miss Robinson. She had contacted him through Facebook and also called, and I had no idea who she was, and I kind of freaked out on him a little bit. But then he briefed me on what her motive was, and that was to find out if that was her father.
If you were not her father, why did you show up at my house and tell her, I am your daddy?
When
and
did you
turn
do that?
around
That's what
and
he would
sign
do.
your rights away the next day for her?
See, he wouldn't do that.
You don't
I know
know
him.
I was
You
at
did
the
not
house.
know him.
I was at your house,
You did
yes.
not know him.
And the reason I was at your house is because the state of Oregon was taking money out of my unemployment for child support.
Because
So
she's your
I
daughter.
went to your house, and I sit in your living room 2 different times, and that's all it took. And your then husband decided he was going to adopt and asked me if I'd sign over my rights. And I said yes, because it's only fair to her that she's got a father. He was willing to do it, and I didn't feel that she was my daughter.
So, Ms. Lawrence, you hear this story about your fiance giving up his parental rights. 18 months old, this baby's 18
Well,
months
he
old.
tells me the story how he's telling you now. He's an honest man. He takes care of his responsibility. He's just not the way that she's painting the picture for everybody.
Your Honor,
For the last 2
I'm
years.
an honest woman, too.
Ms. Robertson, all of this aside,
It's
what?
confusing.
It is. It is. And what I see happening before my very eyes is what I know happened then. That they both do all of this, and then you just fade to the back.
Your Honor, no matter what.
Your mother's running her mouth now. I'm trying to talk to you.
I'm happy that I have a father, Mr. Ayers, that has taken care of me. I'm very blessed for that. And
Which is what my goal was to have him, and having him adopt her.
and then I have
Every
my
child
mother.
deserves to have a father.
But the truth is, you relinquished your parental rights, and it wasn't until 3 years later.
It wasn't that long, Your Honor. She was a baby at the time.
And I'm scratching my head at how the
Time
court
you
would let.
relinquished your rights.
Because he didn't think
Yes.
that she was his.
That happened.
And because you guys were separated. You guys were
you
divorcing.
didn't know.
No, I don't. I wasn't there. But
Exactly.
I believe
So
what he tells me.
You're not even in this picture.
So, Ms. Robertson,
She is in my picture.
back to you, since
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
seem to be the only person that addresses you. How in the world have you been getting on and managing all of this? And what do you hope to get
I hope
from
that
this
he is.
answer?
I want to know more about my background. Like he said, he has 3 other kids. I would like to become in contact with them as well. And
And if it turns out that she is,
Let her speak.
I just, mainly my heritage and to get to know him. I possibly have siblings out there.
So even after all you've heard him say, I can see in your eyes it still means the world to you that if he's your biological father, for you to have a chance to know him.
Yes, Your Honor.
if she is my child, then I'm going to have to do some reevaluating of my thinking.
You sure are.
If she is my child, if she's my child,
33 years late.
Will you just let me speak for a moment? If she's my child, by all means, I will step up and and help her in any way. If she's not my child, I'll still help her find who her father is.
Thank you. And I have those answers for
Thank
you
you.
all. Ron, these results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Robertson v. Mcbain Sr., when it comes to 33-year-old Maylene Robertson, it has been determined by this court Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. Mr. Mcbain Sr., you are not her father. Ms. Robertson, how do you feel? Are you all right?
Yeah.
So, Ms. Graham, you've been very sure. You have to live with the fact that you've lied to your daughter.
Your Honor, I have to live with the fact that I've lied to myself.
No. You're not gonna go all psychological and get me off my point. Because this is the problem. I'm talking about your daughter, you're talking about yourself. That's been the problem. I have been saying it over and over again, and no one listens. Everyone's still yelling, me, no she, no he. And Miss Robertson has just faded into the background when she really is the person that has endured the most pain. You did your dirt, he did his dirt, but the pile of crap landed on her. That's not right.
No, Your Honor, it's not.
It's not right.
No, it's not.
There has to be a point in time, Miss Graham, where you just lay it on the line. This girl deserves some answers. Until that time, we have counseling for you, and I want you to remember you matter in this. I wish you the very, very best of luck.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.